Thank you, Daan. And good morning, everyone. Thank you for having us, first of all. I will start to share our presentation firstly. And let me know if you don't see the presentation. Hello, I hope you have had some exciting days so far during the conference, and hopefully you have some energy left for today. My name is Daan, and with me today is my colleague Geertje. And we both work at the Utrecht University. And in this presentation, we will tell you a bit more about educational innovation within the Utrecht University. If you have any questions during the presentation, just take the mic or put it in the chat. So, let me see the next slide. So, Utrecht University is logically located in the city Utrecht, which is a relatively small city in the Netherlands, with around 360,000 residents. And I think what Utrecht identifies most is the historical city center with its canals. You can see on the left picture, and on the right side you can see the Dam Tower, which is the largest church tower in the Netherlands. Currently under renovation, so if you will visit Utrecht in the next years, you will probably don't see it in its original state. The university itself is located at two places in the city. So first of all, we have several historical buildings scattered around the city center, which are part of the Utrecht University. But the largest part is located on the east side of the city, which is our campus. And as you can see, throughout the years, it has been developed into a small city with all the buildings adding up. Our university has been established in 1636. We are actually not the oldest university of the Netherlands, that is Leiden. And next to that, we have 9 teaching institutes and above 35,000 students. Regarding the educational programs, we have bachelor programs and master programs, both in Dutch and English. So this will give you a small idea of the Utrecht University. So Geertje and I work for the Center for Academic Teaching and Learning. Nada mentioned educated, and that's the last name of the program. So the new name of the program is the Center for Academic Teaching and Learning, also named CAT in abbreviation. So I'll use that term for the whole presentation. And so the CAT is a network organization within the Utrecht University, and we aim to work on the continuous improvement of academic teaching. And that means that everything that is offered by the Utrecht University for teachers to develop themselves or to develop their education is united within the CAT. So that means that teaching staff can also come to the center for information, support, training. And within the CAT, we have a team of around 40 people. Let me see the next slide. Of around 40 people, consisting of a variety of colleagues. So think about coordinators, educational advisors, but we also do a lot with communication and events, and also some technical support like key users. So it's a big variety of people. And within the CAT, we focus on 3 pillars. And each pillar has its own activities and processes. And the first one is teacher development. The second one is educational scholarship. And the third and last one, which Geertje and I will talk about today, is educational innovation. And within this pillar, we mainly focus on facilitating innovational projects on blended learning, but with the support of digitalization. So very important to mention is that we believe in the bottom-up approach. And that means that innovation starts with the question or an idea or a wish from a teacher, since we believe at Utrecht that innovation can only be successful if the one that will be using innovation, which will be the teacher in this case, has to be intrinsically motivated to use so. So that means that all innovation projects that we currently implement and facilitate were once requested by one or multiple teachers. So how does innovation work at CAT? Well, we make use of a phasing model that we have developed ourselves throughout the years, because we believe that innovation is an iterative process whereby the innovation drives through various phases. And as you can see on the slide, we also believe it's important to have a go, no-go decision each time when an innovation goes to the next phase. And I will go shortly through all these phases to explain a bit what these phases include. So if you look at the first phase, we call the pilot. And hereby we actually explore the feasibility of the innovation. So we have an intake interview with the teacher that requested the innovation, but we also check the potential didactical value of the innovation. Because a lot of time teachers have a certain idea what innovation is and what didactical value is, but we also always want to verify that. When I talk about preconditions, I mean aspects like GDPR, information security, so the main things that teachers don't think about or don't want to spend too much time on. And when these aspects I just mentioned are being verified, we come into the pilot phase. And hereby we are actually going to test the innovation in an educational setting with the teachers that requested the innovation. And during this phase, we can experiment with innovation. So how is the quality of support from the supplier? But most importantly, what do teachers and students think of the innovation? So we evaluate always after a pilot the innovation with teachers and students to see in what extent the innovation has been appreciated by them. So after a successful pilot phase, hopefully, we would like to scale up the innovation. So in order to let other teachers, but also other teaching institutes make use of the innovation. And hereby it's very important to be prepared for the increase of needed support, but also the increased need of licenses. So you also have to deal with sustainable procurement. Lastly, when the scale-up has been successful, and we can see that the innovation has been used for multiple years on a larger scale, we want to make sure that the innovation is being transferred to another department within the institution. So we can make sure it is being implemented in our organization for sustainable lifetime. Because at a certain point, you could say that the innovation is not an innovation anymore. So in our case, as CAT, we would like to transfer the innovation to our IT department, since they are specialized in supporting these kind of applications. And from the perspective of us, of CAT, we mainly focus on didactical support and didactical trainings, because that is our core business. So that is why we want to transfer these applications at a certain point to another department. But we always stay involved from the didactical perspective. This is very shortly the innovation process with the several phases we have. And this is a theoretic model, so in reality, it doesn't always go as smoothly as in this model, but this is something we strive for. So how does it look like? What kind of innovations have popped up last years within Utrecht University? Well, this is just a short overview. And we have divided these in several categories to give you a grasp of what is being facilitated currently. So on the one hand, we offer a lot of wide applicable tools within the institution. So think about peer feedback tools, applications whereby you can develop learning materials or e-modules, digital assessment tools. But on the other hand, we also facilitate more specific tools for a certain part of the educational field within Utrecht. And these are tools such as Labster, LabBuddy, and Path Excel. And these are mainly focusing on facilitating and preparing for lab education. So it contains, for example, lab simulations students can do at home, time and place independently. So we have a variety of tools we offer currently. So how do we bring these innovations towards our teachers and students? Well, we do that with our tool picker, which is a general website we offer for all teachers, but also for students. And in this tool picker, we present all tools we are currently facilitating, meaning that all the tools that are on the tool picker have successfully thrived through all the phases I've just mentioned. And in this tool picker, teachers can see an overview of all usable tools, and they can also select, for example, on several educational teams, which you can see on the left side of the screen, in order to find the best suiting tool for their educational goal. Of course, apart from the tool picker, we have many colleagues, educational advisors that can also support teachers to make the right pick hearing. So I would like to end my part with some takeaways regarding the innovation process. And I'm also very curious for all of you if you agree with me on these takeaways and maybe if you have some additions. So the first one is, logically, it sounds logically, but it's actually quite complex, is involve all stakeholders at the right time. Why is this complex? Well, this is just a short overview of stakeholders involved in the whole innovation process. So you can clearly see it's a big group and it's quite complex to involve everyone at the exact time in the right phase to give them their expertise. The second one, I think I've already mentioned regarding the pre-pilot phase, that it's very important to check the preconditions in the early stages. Why? Well, the reason for this is to avoid that you start a pilot with a teacher and students, and then after a while, when you want to scale up, you bump into a GDPR wall, for example, whereby you have to phase out the innovation and thereby also have to disappoint teachers and students that already adopted the innovation. This makes a nice bridge to the third takeaway, because therefore expectation management towards teachers especially is very important. So when they request an innovation and when they want to start a pilot, the teachers just want to teach and use it as fast as possible, and they don't want to be involved with GDPR or procurement or information security. And therefore, it's very important to communicate with these teachers that is also an important part of the innovation process, whereby we give support to do so, but they have to understand it takes time. And the last takeaway, and in my opinion also the most important one, is that innovation needs to be evaluated again and again. Also, in order to conclude whether the innovation still achieves the educational goals that were being set beforehand. Society changes, and that means also education changes. So it's important to evaluate with the teachers and the students again and again if the innovation still fits the expectations. Well, and regarding this evaluation process and all the lifecycle management related to that, Geertje will take over from here and talk about that a bit more. And I think, Geertje, you will take over the presentation.
Yes, thank you, Daan. Let me see if I can share my presentation. There it is. So good morning, everyone. Yes, I'll tell a little bit more about how we evaluate our innovations. And I wanted to start with the support that we offer teachers and students during these innovations. So we have basically 3 types of support at the CAT. First, we have didactical support that consists of educational consultants, such as myself. We help teachers with their intake, for example, if they want to use a certain innovation or application during their course. We give advice and we give trainings and workshops to teachers as well. Most of the time, this is about blended learning or about specific tooling. We also have practical support. That's our teaching support. This is basically a help desk that teachers and students can go to or call, and they can help with how to set up a certain application. They can answer questions and comments and help with the practical use of the innovations. We also have technical support, and this is our functional management team. And they handle all the bugs, the errors, and all the technical questions and support. And they have also contact with the supplier about these topics as well. Maybe it's good to know that about the didactical support and more what we do about teacher training, teacher development is in the presentation of our colleagues that's going to be in a couple of hours. They will tell more about that part. Let me see. Yes. So we, like Dan mentioned, we evaluate every innovation that we have. And when we talk about innovation, it's usually some kind of application, online application. Why do we do this? We always want to measure the added value of the application, like Dan already mentioned, regardless of which phase it is in. This gives us a lot of data that helps us with decision making, and this concerns our life cycle management, which I will talk about in the next slide. And it also gives us input for our conversations with supplier, so that we know more about the teacher's needs and wants, and we can talk with the suppliers about this. So here we have the life cycle of our application. This is a tool, like a model that we use in deciding about our applications and our innovations. So at the top left, you see it starts with the pilot request of the teacher, and there's an intake. And if that's all successful, do you use the application in a course or multiple courses maybe? Then you evaluate, like what's the added value of the application. And let me see, then you go to the analyze phase, and there you look at the results of your evaluations, like what's the educational added value. You look at technical aspects, you look at privacy, security, contracts, finance, communication, and also what's the place of this application in the whole digital learning environment of the UU, in the whole of all the IT that we have here. Then all these aspects are analyzed and are input for our decision making. So we discuss these results. We decide if there's a go or no go. Do we continue with the application? If it's a no go, it goes into the bin. And if it's a go, it goes back into the life cycle. And then we decide, like, do we need to scale up, scale down? Are there any adjustments needed? Or is it possibly embedded? Or is it suitable to be embedded in the organization? So you start this cycle again, and you keep evaluating and analyzing these aspects, no matter what phase the tool is in, the application is in. So how does this evaluation work? When you have a pre-pilot, so this is the first time use of an application in a course, we very specifically look at the educational added value for a larger group of teachers, because we want to know if this application is interesting for different faculties and for the whole of the university. And we want to know if this application helps with meeting the learning goals. And every pre-pilot evaluation has its own format. This is usually a case study because it's very specific for each situation. So when you have multiple courses where an application is applied in multiple courses, it's already gone through one cycle in the life cycle. Then we use a different evaluation. We use teacher questions and a student questionnaire. So the student questionnaire consists of a couple of general questions that applies to all the innovations. These are all the same type of questions, but there are also specific questions specifically for that application. For example, if it's a peer feedback application, then we ask questions such as, did the application support the peer feedback process? Did you feel more motivated to be active in the course because of this application? Did the application stimulate interaction with your peers, etc., etc.? So you don't actually measure the peer feedback process, if that worked or not, but you measure the role of the application in that process. Also, we have room for a couple of questions that the teacher can add to this questionnaire as well. Then we have questions for the teacher. So beforehand, we ask several questions like, what are you intending to do with the application in the course? What are your learning goals? And afterwards, we ask, are these learning goals met? Did everything work out just as you planned? Would you recommend the application to other teachers maybe? Do you have wishes or adjustments for this application that we can take with us, etc.? That kind of questions. And possibly at the end of the course, we also have a more extensive interview with the teacher. If the teacher is okay with that, then you'll have more an in-depth interview. So what are the advantages of this approach? Well, we want to gain insights in the added value of the application in an educational setting. This is information in every phase we want to know. It also gives us information about what students think of the application, what teachers think of the application, and it gives the teacher the opportunity to indicate desired adjustments to the application as well. We can then communicate this with the supplier. Of course, we can never really say if all the wishes will be granted, but we can, of course, communicate this with the supplier. And another advantage is that the teacher does not need to carry out this research. We all execute this research, but the teacher does get access to all of the research results that we have. This is basically what we wanted to tell this morning. And of course, Daan and I are very curious if there are any questions.